Hello, everyone, and welcome to Right Wing Rising. Please be sure to like this video down below before you're finished watching and subscribe to the channel if you are new. In this edition of my 240ToWin series, we are yet again going to be looking at another primary race. We've been doing that the last few videos in this series. And today we're going to be talking about Montana because there are some primary elections happening this coming Tuesday once again in a couple different states, including New Jersey, New Mexico, Iowa, South Dakota, and, of course, Montana. There are not many other primary races of importance in the states that I just listed. There are some important down-ballot state legislature primaries happening in South Dakota, so that's something we can talk about in a future video once the elections happen, but I'm not going to spend the time breaking down all of those races because there are many seats up for renomination. Instead, I wanted to take a little bit of time today to make a short video and talk about the Republican primary race happening in Montana's 2nd Congressional District. And this is an important one because the incumbent Republican, Matt Rosendale, is retiring from this district. He's not running for re-election, and he has held the seat for the last couple of cycles, and he has consistently been one of the best representatives in the country and had one of the most solid voting records. He is a member of the House Freedom Caucus, so it is very quietly important who replaces him because you want someone that is at least close to how solid he is in the U.S. House of Representatives to be his successor in this seat so that this district continues to have solid representation at the federal level. And if we look at the candidates running in this race, which, by the way, is going to be a safe Republican seat, it voted for Trump in 2020 by almost 30 points. And we can see that Matt Rosendale won re-election in 2022 with almost 57% of the vote. So no matter who wins the nomination for the Republicans, they will hold this seat, no doubt. That's what makes it even more important to get a good candidate in this seat. And a brief overview of who is running. We have Troy Downing, who is the Montana State Auditor currently. We have Kenneth Bogner, who is the President Pro Tem of the Montana Senate. We have Elsie Aronson, the current Montana Superintendent of Public Instruction. We have 2 former state legislators in Rick Holden, a former state senator, and Joel Crotter, the former state representative. And finally, of the major candidates, we have Denny Rayburg, the former representative when Montana just had one at-large district. After the 2020 census, it added a 2nd district, this current one here. So he was the lone U.S. representative from Montana from 2001 to 2013, the former lieutenant governor in the 90s. So he's been around in politics in Montana for quite a while. And there's also Kyle Austin, who ran for the seat in 2022, and Stacy Zinn, a retired DEA agent. So obviously a wide range of candidates here with pretty distinct backgrounds. The large majority of them currently have, or have had in the past, a pretty large role in the Montana government. And if we scroll down here, we see that Elsie Aronson got the endorsement of the House Freedom Caucus, Bob Good, the chair of the Freedom Caucus, and Harriet Hageman, a member of the House Freedom Caucus, and the lone representative for the House from Wyoming. Ken Bogner got the endorsement of the former ICE director under Trump, Thomas Homan, and Troy Downing got the endorsement of Derek Van Orden, the U.S. representative from Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District, and an organization with honor fund, that funds a lot of military veterans that are running for office. Joel Crotter got the endorsement of several labor unions. And looking at the campaign financing, we can see that the leaders in this field are Troy Downing. He's raised almost $1 million and spent over $600,000. Elsie Aronson has raised $800,000 and spent about half of that. And the rest of the candidates have not raised too much money. None of them have cleared $100,000. Most of them haven't even cleared $50,000. Although this list of the campaign finance reports oddly excludes Denny Rayburg. So we have no idea how much he has raised. And looking at the polling finally, we can see that the consistent leader over the last few months is Troy Downing. Again, he's the current Montana State Auditor. A consistent second is Denny Rayburg, the former representative from Montana. And a consistent third is Elsie Aronson. So who should you be rooting for to win this race, or voting for if you live in the district? While, at least according to the polling, Troy Downing seems to be the favorite to win nomination in this district, he seems to be more of a generic conservative Republican, not bringing too much new to the table, The Political Action Committee that has endorsed him has endorsed some iffy candidates in the past, and Derek Van Orden, who, as I mentioned, has endorsed him, is currently serving his first term in Congress and has been a little controversial in his first term, a little bit rocky and cringy at times, and hasn't always been on the right side of issues, hasn't always had the best voting record. Denny Rayburg, for his part, he was an okay representative back in the day, solid on social conservatism for the most part, but kind of like Troy Downing, he's kind of your average run-of-the-mill standard Republican. I would say much more of a Bush Republican than your modern-day America First conservative Republican. Definitely less in the mold of the current incumbent, Matt Rosendale, and he wasn't great on foreign policy back in the day, which raises some questions for how he would vote on foreign aid bills, which is something that is important to Republican voters these days. So while they are not favored, my two endorsements would be for Elsie Aronson and Kenneth Bogner. Kenneth Bogner has been a decent leader of the Montana Senate. He's proposed and passed a lot of decent legislation and seems on the whole overall more conservative. And Elsie Aronson has a solid conservative platform and has been endorsed by the House Freedom Caucus. While they both have been polling low consistently, with Elsie Aronson being the only one of the two to crack double digits only in one single poll back in April, it would not be the first time that a primary candidate was down in the polls significantly and then pulled out a surprise victory. For lower level primary elections, for such things as the House of Representatives or state legislature races, polling can be a bit fluky. So it will still be interesting to see what happens on Tuesday, because I think either of these candidates winning would be the best option possible, as they seem to be the most conservative in the race from what I can tell. So I would root for and vote for either of these candidates. I think Elsie Aronson does have the inside track. She has more funding and she has more endorsements behind her, and seems to have run a decent campaign. And I think if either of these candidates pull out a victory, it will be her, for sure. We have enough run-of-the-mill average Republicans in Congress from red states. It would be very nice to replace a solid conservative in Matt Rosendale with someone that has a similar conservative platform and that would maintain a solid voting record in this district. And I think Elsie Aronson has the best chance of being that candidate out of all the other people running in this district, especially compared to Troy Downing and Denny Rayburg. So let's see if her campaign is able to pull out the win on Tuesday. That will be all for me today. I just wanted to take the time to make this quick little breakdown of this race happening on Tuesday, since it is important to make sure that the person that replaces him in this district also replaces his seat on the House Freedom Caucus.